Hey guys, check out my new store on Etsy called Nina's Nightly Comforts, where you can find everything from men's t-shirts to women's cozy pajama dresses, men's and women's tank tops for those warm nights, throw pillows, a warm and toasty fleece blanket for those cool fall nights that are yet to come, a mug perfect for tea, coffee, or your favorite beverage, and last but not least, a limited supply of specially handcrafted by me dream catchers to capture all of your nightmares that my creepypastas will leave you with. Everything to get you comfortable and in the right mood to listen to your favorite creepypastas. You can find the link posted below in the description and also in my community tab. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to keep me in your nightmares. The next few days are miserable for me. All I do is sit around thinking about Rocco and what was going through his mind when he died. Was he scared? Was he alone? His autopsy results were released and his death was ruled to have been caused by natural causes. The coroner concluded that he died from sudden cardiac arrest, which is also classified as a heart attack. His mother and sisters are devastated. Their lives have been shattered and will never be the same. His funeral is scheduled for next week. I still can't believe that he's gone. I haven't been out of the house since he died. I've been too distraught and terrified to go anywhere. Dex has been stopping by every day to check up on me, and Stephanie has come by once or twice, but I've only talked to Brianna over the phone since the incident on the hayride. She hasn't left her house either since it happened. She had to get 32 stitches to close the cut in her arm after she got slashed by the scythe on the ride. The police questioned the four of us the following morning, and I told them all about the shadow that kept following us the entire time that we were on the haunted hayride, and how I think that whoever it was could be responsible for what happened to Brianna. But apparently Dex, Stephanie, and Brianna didn't corroborate my story. I mean, I can't blame them. They didn't even see it at first, and by the time that they did notice it, there were so many other things that were going on that night. They weren't really focused on it like I was. I've still been getting the calls from the unknown number. I keep ignoring them and sending them straight to voicemail, but whoever the caller is always hangs up without leaving a message. And even though I haven't been out of the house in almost a week, I've still been seeing dark shadowy-like figures lurking around. They stand outside my house every night, but only after it gets dark, making it nearly impossible for me to see them. And the only time that I even do notice them is when I catch a slight glimpse of them every time that they move beneath one of the streetlights, or if the moon and stars are shining brightly in the night sky. It's almost like they're invisible or something. And no matter how hard I try, I can't stop thinking about Rocco and how he saw the same thing. But he said that it was a man hanging around his mom's house the last few days right before he died. Could the two be related? I guess now I'll never know. I wish I would have paid more attention to what he was trying to tell us and asked more questions about it while I had the chance, instead of just brushing it off like I did. Now it's too late. Right at that moment, my phone vibrates, pulling me out of my thoughts and momentarily letting me forget about the million things that I have racing through my mind. I grab my cell phone from the coffee table and see that it's a text from Dex. Did you decide if you want to go to the costume party? No, not yet, I reply. Well, just a reminder, it is tomorrow night, and if you're going, then we need to go out and buy you a new costume. Look, I'll completely understand if you don't want to, but I think it'll help you get your mind off of everything else that's going on right now, even if it is only for a few hours. After thinking it over for a moment, I decide that Dex is right. As much as I don't feel like doing anything, I know that eventually I'm going to have to go back to work and start living my life again. That's what Rocco would have wanted. And I know that if he was still here, he would never let me miss this party, and he wouldn't have missed it either. Attending our friend Cody's Halloween party was something that we all did together every year. So I text him back and ask if he can come over, pick me up, and take me to go buy a costume. He responds, I'll be there in 20. I change out of my sweats, throw on a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt, Then while I'm waiting for Dex to get here, I text both Brianna and Stephanie to check up on them and see how they're doing. Stephanie texts back that she's at work. She decided to go in today because sitting around at home all the time, the only thing that she could think about was Rocco and what happened to him. Yeah, I completely understand, I answer back. Then I let her know that Dex and I are still going to the Halloween party like we had planned, and ask her if she feels up to coming too. She answers, I wasn't going to go, but I did already get my costume. And Rocco always did enjoy going to Cody's party every year, so why the hell not? If Rocco was here, he wouldn't want us to miss it. I text back, my thoughts exactly, and we'll make sure to toast Rocco at the party to celebrate the life that he lived. We can't mourn him forever. We have to remember all the good times that we had with him, and Cody's Halloween party was always one of them. Then I think to myself, I wish that was the only reason I wanted to go to the party. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, the real reason I want to get out of the house is so that I can be around other people and to get away from the lingering, menacing presence that I feel is lurking around watching me all of the time. The constant dread and paranoia that I'm starting to feel when I'm home alone is becoming too much for me to bear. When I hear a horn beep outside, I send Stephanie one last text. Hey, Dex just got here. He's taking me to go get my costume now. I'll talk to you later. Then I slip on my sneakers, grab my jacket and purse, and head outside. Dex beeps the horn again just as I step out onto the porch. When I see that it's just starting to get dark, I double check the small front compartment of my purse to make sure that I didn't forget to grab my pocket knife. I know how foolish it sounds, because if Rocco was right and it is some kind of spirit that is after us all, then obviously a pocket knife isn't going to do anything to fend them off. But it makes me feel a little better and safer when I carry it. The palm of my hand glides smoothly over the stainless steel, and I breathe a sigh of relief when I realize that it's right where it should be. Hey, come on, what are you doing? Dex shouts through the open passenger side car window when he sees me just standing there on the porch. I cautiously step down off of the porch and start to make my way to the car, frantically glancing from side to side, scanning every area that my eyes can see for any sign of the dark shadows. I know they're around somewhere because I can feel their presence. I can feel them watching me. But when I don't see any sight of them lurking in the darkness, I make a beeline for Dex's car and climb inside. Hey, are you okay? He questions once I'm safely in the passenger seat. Yeah, let's go, I tell him as I take one last look around. Just as we're pulling off, he asks again, Sabrina, are you sure everything's alright? You're acting weird. I haven't told him my theory about something possibly following us home from the haunted house, and that I'm starting to think that maybe Rocco was right. I know he'll just laugh and brush it off, and then tell me that now I sound crazy, just like Rocco did. So I see no point in even bringing it up. And I wouldn't dare bring it up to Brianna either, because even if she did believe me, it'll only terrify her more than she already is. Maybe I'll mention it to Stephanie at the party tomorrow night and see what she has to say about it, I think to myself, just as my phone vibrates. It's Brianna, replying to my message that I sent her just a little while ago. She says that she's doing okay. Just as I'm about to text her back and ask if she's still going to the party, Dex's voice interrupts my thoughts. Hello, Earth to Sabrina. I glance over at him. What? Didn't you hear me talking to you? No, sorry. I guess I got distracted. What did you say? Never mind, it wasn't important. Do you already have a costume in mind? No, not really. Didn't you mention something about Freddy Krueger? Yeah, that's who I'm going as. Hey, they have a female version of the costume too. We could go as Mr. and Mrs. Krueger. What do you think? Yeah, sure, whatever, I tell him, as I start to text Brianna back. Suddenly he pulls the car over to the side of the road. What are you doing? Why'd you pull over? Sabrina, what's going on with you? You haven't been acting like yourself lately. Look, I'm sorry. It's just that I've been constantly thinking about Rocco and some of the things he said before he died. Like what? Hesitant to tell him what's on my mind, I reply, I don't know. Since when did you start feeling like you can't talk to me about stuff? It's not that. It's just that I already know what you're going to say. I let out a sigh before going on. I'm starting to think that maybe Rocco was right when he said that he thought a spirit was following him, because I've kind of been getting that same feeling. What do you mean? I give him a look like, how can you not know what I'm talking about? The strange phone calls I keep receiving, and the dark shadows that I keep seeing everywhere I go. Not to mention, Rocco gets hurt at the haunted house, and then the same thing happens to Brianna on the haunted hayride. Sabrina, look, you know that I don't believe in that ghost stuff, and I was at the haunted house with both of you. Nothing weird or bad has happened to me. Yeah, I guess you're right, I answer, already knowing that's what he was going to say. He pulls back onto the road, then we start heading to Party City once again. Once we arrive, I hurry through the aisles, barely browsing the items. Honestly, I just want to get a costume and go back home as soon as possible. I thought I'd feel better being around so many people out here in public, but I'm feeling more like someone is watching my every move. After quickly walking through each aisle once, I decide on the Mrs. Krueger costume, and then Dex drops me off back at home. When I'm safely back inside my place, I check to make sure that all of the doors and windows are still locked, and when I see that they are, first I try on my costume, and then I finally text Brianna back. Sorry it took me so long to get back to you. I was out shopping for a costume. So I take it you guys are still going to the party then? She asks. Yeah, I decided to go. I think it'll help get my mind off of everything. And Stephanie's going too. You should come with us. And you know that Cody always goes the extra mile. Remember last year he had real spiders and snakes at his party? She replies, although this gnarly scar on my arm could pass for a costume itself, I'm going to have to pass. Usually I'm not one to take no for an answer, but in this case I decide to let it go and don't ask her again. That night, I received 2 calls from the unknown number. I ignore the first one, just like I've been doing, but then curiosity gets the better of me the second time that they call, because I answer the phone. Hello? Nothing but silence, just like I thought. Just as I'm about to hang up, I hear the person on the other end whisper my name in that same creepy voice as before.
Sabrina.
A chill runs straight through me as I hurry and press the end call button and then toss my phone across the table. I don't get much sleep that night. I toss and turn all night long, stirring awake every time that I hear any type of noise. The following night, I get ready to go to the party. Dex should be here any minute to pick me up, I think, glancing at the time on my cell. I slip on my knee-high combat boots, then grab my leather jacket and wait by the door for Dex to beep the horn like he always does when he's in a hurry. But after a few minutes pass by, just when I expect him to be pulling up out front, I get a text from him instead that says, "They're doing construction on the road that leads to your house. I'm going to be a few minutes late." So I take a seat on the couch and check my email messages while I wait for him. As I'm reading over one from my boss, suddenly I hear something. A light tapping sound. My heart starts to race as I stand up and frantically look around, trying to locate where it's coming from. When I hear it again, I follow the sound, which leads me over to the side living room window. As my heart beats out of my chest, I slowly approach the window that I believe the sound is coming from and grab the corner of the curtain, then silently count to 3. That's when I rip the curtain back and let out a blood-curdling scream when I see a man's face right up against the glass, peering through my window. I let go of the curtain, race to the kitchen, and grab the biggest knife I own out of the knife block sitting on top of the counter. Just then, I hear the front doorknob jiggling. Shit, he's trying to break in, I whisper aloud as I struggle to catch my breath. I have to call Dex, I tell myself, as my sweaty fingers keep gliding across the buttons on my phone. I finally manage to dial his number, and he picks up on the first ring.
I'll be there in a minute. I'm right down the street.
Dex, someone is trying to break into my house. I saw a man outside peeking through my windows.
What? Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. Just then, the call suddenly ends, and just as I'm about to call him back, I see headlights shining outside, and I cautiously approach the window and peek out. Dex is jumping out of his car, and he comes racing toward my front door. I quickly unlock it and let him inside. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine, just a little scared." "Look, I just saw the guy run off when I pulled up. He went around to the back of the house. Are all the doors and windows locked?" I nod my head. "Okay, then you stay here. I'm going to check it out." As he darts out the door, I shout, "Be careful!" But I'm pretty sure that he doesn't hear me. I relock the door and just stand there, pacing back and forth, waiting as adrenaline courses through me, thinking to myself, I can't believe that this is happening. Then my mind starts to wander as I think about the horrible way that Rocco died, and the shocked and terrified look that he had frozen on his face when I last saw him. Suddenly the sound of Dex screaming rips me out of my thoughts. I'm still holding the knife in my hand as I go running out the door, thinking that I can't let the same thing that happened to Rocco happen to him too. When I round the corner of the house, I see Dex lying on the ground. His arm is bleeding, and there is a black figure looming over him. The way that I'm approaching it, its back is facing me, so it can't see that I'm coming. Dex can't see me either because the figure is blocking his view. It starts leaning over to grab him, and thinking in my head that this is probably the same way that Rocco died, I swing the knife through the air, screaming, "Get away from him!" expecting it to suddenly vanish into thin air just like the dark shadows I keep seeing always do. But instead, the knife gets stuck. As my hand lets go of the knife, I feel something wet on my fingers, and realizing that it's blood, I gasp. And when the figure suddenly collapses to the ground, that's when I know that whatever I thought it was, I was wrong. It's clearly alive, or at least it was before I stabbed it. Dex slowly gets up off of the ground, holding his bloody arm as he screams at me. "What in the hell did you do?" "It was attacking you. I thought it was going to kill you." Glancing at his arm, he tells me, "Sabrina, I just tripped over a branch or something and landed on some broken beer bottles in the yard from when we were out here drinking the other day. The same ones that you said you were going to clean up." "Yeah, but I heard you scream." "That's because I cut my arm all up. That shit hurt." And then this guy came running over when he saw what happened. He was trying to help me. "But this is the same guy who was about to break into my house." "Yeah, that's the same guy, but it's not what you think. He said he was from Halloween scares." Staring at him in shock, I reply, "He could have just been saying that." "I don't think so," he answers, pointing to a small rectangular card lying on the ground. I recognize the logo written across the top. It says Halloween Scares in black and orange letters. Then it has the man's name, Gary Klein, written below that. I gasp when I realize that this man, who I thought was trying to break into my house and kill me and my boyfriend, was actually just doing his job. He was trying to scare me, and he did. With everything that has been going on lately, I completely forgot that I had even signed up to the app. "It was an accident. I didn't know. I thought—" I cry as a pang of guilt, fear, and remorse all flow through me at the same time as I stand there looking at this man lying on the cold, damp ground in a puddle of his own blood. Just then, the man gasps and takes one last breath. I stare Dex in the eyes and think, I can't believe that I just killed someone. I'm a murderer. And now what in the hell am I going to do? Because when the police show up here and I tell them that this was all just one big misunderstanding, I don't think that they're going to believe that the same person who I hired to come and scare me is the same one that I just killed accidentally. Seeing the fear in my eyes, Dex tells me, "It's okay, Sabrina. I know it was an honest mistake. You were only trying to help me because you thought I was in danger. Don't worry, we'll think of something, and we'll find a way so that you don't get into trouble for any of this." Don't forget to subscribe for new stories weekly. See you next time on
Nina's Nightmares.
Really? You're supposed to click the like button, not me. Ugh.